A news crew from BBC Wales is in town, researching a story on a Youngstown man once known worldwide.
First News anchor Stan Boney followed the crew around for a while today. He joins us in the studio live right now with what the story they're telling.
Well, John D. Bonesetter Rees was a healer of aches and pains, the precursor of the modern-day chiropractor. He arrived in Youngstown from South Wales in 1887 as the steel industry was getting cranked up. He worked in the mill for a while, but once people learned he could cure their ails, he practiced full-time out of his house around Wick Park and died a wealthy man. It's the story of Bonesetter Rees that brought journalist Peter Jackson and producer Steve Groves to Youngstown. They met today with Bill Lawson of the Mahoning Valley Historical Society. Jackson hosts a radio show called Jocko's Sporting Almanac, and what makes it a sporting story is that Bonesetter Rees worked on some of the great baseball players of the time, Ty Cobb, Rogers Hornsby, and Honus Wagner, along with other athletes. In fact, people came from all over the world seeking the help of Bonesetter Rees.
There was a brilliant story to be told about this Welshman who cured hundreds of baseball players, boxers, jockeys simply by the magic of his hands. He had had no medical training whatsoever, and yet he became, towards the end of his life, internationally famous for what he'd achieved.
Give you an idea how famous Bonesetter Rees was. When he died in 1931, the story was banner headlines in both Youngstown papers, the Vindicator and the Telegram. The news of his death was also reported in the New York Times. Now, the crew also stopped by Bonesetter Rees's house on Park Avenue across from Wick Park and the Welsh Congregational Church on Elm Street, which Rees attended. From here, they're headed to Michigan to interview Bonesetter Rees's great-grandson. Live in the studio, Stan Boney, WKBN 27 First News.